FM 92.7. It's only 18 minutes after 9. We're going all the way till 10. Delali Sokpo is joining us here as a member of the National Communications Team of the NDC. Anaya Sapong is a special aide to Alan Kojutre Manting, a leader of the Movement for Change. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. How are we doing?
Good morning, my brother.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, great. Should I say that?
Johnny.
Should I say Dasuba?
Nah.
Kaola.
Yeah. I love you.
Tumabiola.
I love you. Gentleman,
yes, everything's fine.
What language is that?
That is the man.
It's a holy language.
I see.
It's a holy language. Yeah.
So I belong to the two most biggest and vibrant sides. I'm an Ashanti and a Dagomba put together.
That's a very dangerous combination. But it's a good one indeed. Dela, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, sure.
I'm greater than Accra. A day inside. So let's begin. This NSS thing, it started small last year, injunction here, injunction there. There were two injunctions. Fourth Estate went to courts. NSC said we have discontinued, we won't continue again. Court says don't come back to me again. Now it has blown up. And last year when it started, it was just one person literally, Gifty Owari. Now there's Ohinijan, there's accountants, there's this, there's that. Are you
Johnny? Yeah. This is your question.
No, I'm asking.
Were we thinking that it was just going to be one person?
I don't know. Look, the way it started,
this is a cartel. It's a cartel. It can't just be limited to the NSS Secretariat. It goes beyond the NSS Secretariat, in my view.
Okay.
Who gives them the money? If we're able to trace it, we will trace it to the Ministry of Finance.
Right.
They give them the money.
Right.
When you were explaining the whole issue, you made a point that we know the specific number of individuals.
That's right.
Who have completed school, who would want to do their national service.
Right.
How do we know the number? We know the number because they register.
Right. To say they're eligible.
There are people who would complete school this year and decide not to.
That's right.
There are others who probably completed private schools or went to schools outside the country and are home and they say they want to do.
Right.
You understand? In our days, we used to have what we call the voluntary service.
That's right.
They know the numbers. It is out of the numbers they draw their budget. It is out of that they submit to the Ministry of Finance. It goes to Parliament. They go to defend it, and it comes. Now, looking at what they have there, you would notice that the table they submitted, or the ones that is circulating that we see, you submit for approvals in September. Am I right?
That's right.
October, they go again. Probably, even if they are doing it in quarterly basis or on quarterly basis, it means that you know the number for 3 months.
Right.
And these numbers keep increasing.
By the close of 2024, we had 2.2 billion lost.
Their supervisors, the mother ministry, those who give them the money, are they trying to tell me that they do not have a capping in terms of time for registration to do NSS?
Right.
And so the numbers will just keep increasing every month. And you and I know that constitutionally or per their regulations, I think that you cannot do less than 6 months.
That's right.
So even after, when it is less than 6 months, you have people still coming on to do their service. Johnny, those are the IT department. Those are the account session. The person who was in charge of finance.
Right.
Because definitely the deputies one will be in charge of finance and operations.
So Gifty was in charge of finance, and then finance and administration.
Good.
And then Ohene Jalsonoba was in charge of operations.
So the person who was in charge of finance and administration, the account session. All right. We should even go to the committee that supersedes, that supervises or actually sits to hear their presentations when they are doing their budgets.
Right. In fact,
We should look
the director of
into-
research has also been,
We
figured
should
in the
look
matter.
into the submissions and their presentations.
Right.
The minutes. Find out the kind of questions they ask them in terms of the numbers increasing and the responses the ones in charge of finance and administration and the accountants would give. Because you see, if the IT guy does not allow
The manipulation
of the system, the finance and administration and the accountant cannot do anything.
Right.
You get
It's
it?
a collaboration.
It's like the banking sector. You need the teller, you need the back officer,
Right.
you need the authorizer
Right. Right.
to be able to steal money.
To clear the check for you. And that's why when you get there, they say auto. And then somebody has to authorize
You
it.
understand?
The photocopy
it
of
goes
stuff
through
and all
a
of
certain process.
Right.
So that line of process it goes through, all of those persons involved need to be questioned. There should be a forensic audit. You understand? It's not just the picking them up that matters. Let us do a proper investigations into this.
To the
matter.
bottom of the matter.
When did it start? If it started in 2017, the team that was there in 2017 should be called.
Right.
They should be questioned. When there was an administrative change, those who took over, they need to be called. You understand me? This is a continuation. You see, it reminds me, or it is not different from those district managers or directors who were, some were jailed and some were sacked.
Right.
I've forgotten which year that was. But there was this whole sweep
Yes.
some time back.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing in a different format.
But this, I mean, the reason I'm shocked is that we invested money into a system that was supposed to prevent this.
You and who?
We, as a people, we invested money to prevent this. So that's why I am shocked.
See, I always tell people that the thieves, those who want to rape the nation of our resources, they know best the Constitution.
You have to be smart to steal.
The system is theirs. You invested into a system for them to operate with. They manipulate the systems by themselves. No, so is it not surprising that they are able to generate their own student
index
IDs,
numbers.
index
And the
numbers?
investees will flag it and say, we don't know these people. 90-year-olds, 80-year-olds.
When the investigations was coming up, I heard that UDS and UCC and
Right.
other, were being fingered that they submit them. My brother, if they do further investigations, it will surprise you that the schools they are not aware. If they were supposed to have submitted the list to the schools for verification,
Right.
I will not be surprised that the additional names were not submitted for verification.
Of course, if you could, because the UEW registrar, for example, said that.
Tony, are you trying to tell me
these
that
index numbers
the
are strange to
registrar's
us?
office in charge of academics, all right, does not know how their schools' index numbers look like?
They do. That's why one of them said, this one is strange.
So what are we talking about?
But how, on God's earth, would anybody think along those lines to do anything like this?
It is because of greed. It is
Sunrise
because
3 FM,
of
the best in the
impunity.
morning.
Unpatriotic disrespect to the nation. So somebody sits and says that This is how much I want to steal. And I will tell you, Johnny, you guys should push for the proposal by Alan Tramontin in his great transformational plan for the lifestyle audit. The lifestyle audit. Somebody who earns less than 20,000 Ghana cedis,
Right.
drives a car that is worth $350,000.
It's not a car that is paying in bits. This is
It's a car they have bought.
It's tear rubber. And
Somebody who earns less than 15,000 Ghana cedis puts on a watch that is in excess of $35,000. Somebody who earns 10,000 Ghana cedis living in a duplex or has built a mansion. Recently, somebody showed me a video of a young man who used to be at the Ministry of Finance.
Right.
I don't know what he was doing there. I think
You don't know what his role was there.
Role was there. That has built something like a castle in his hometown or somewhere in the eastern region.
I see.
And he was bold enough during a festival to do housewarming and naming of his child also. And we had all of these big whips going to the house. And the question is, when did that building start? How much was the budget?
We certainly have a lot of work to do, don't we?
Somebody who just completed school some 3, 4, 5 years ago starts working, and the person has been able to buy a land and a house in a place where you have been working, Johnny. You have been working.
Please take me out of the picture, I beg you.
Why would I take you out of the picture? You are a chief with all the lands they have given you.
I'll give it to my people to farm.
You
I'm not taking them.
I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from.
I get it.
With your experience, with your exposure, with your networking, I am not saying God does not bless people.
He does.
He does. I am a believer of scripture. But there are certain things people will do that we need to question how they came about their monies.
I agree with you. Let me bring in Dela. Dela, let me ask you this. I know Nana, you may be thinking along the same lines that Nana is thinking. But now, people are running away. Is your net, you are in government now, is your net wide enough to break them in?
For me, like you said, I think the average Ghanaian has come to a point, and even including MPP members, once we speak to them off record, I mean, they continue to talk to us about the fact that indeed they felt that they are appointees who had the opportunity to serve under Elsewell administration. Before even the exit power, they know that they have messed up the country. So even they themselves were the ones volunteering information. You remember Ora?
Right.
It was even known MPP members who were going to Ora team submitting names of appointees who were involved in one form of corruption or the other.
Right.
So I believe that once you have the entire nation behind you as a government, I think it makes it easy for you to bring whoever that have absconded to bring the person back to the country to come and face the full rigor of the law. I have said that this is a choreographed thievery.
Huh?
Choreographed thievery.
Choreographed?
Yeah.
By who?
By the actors involved. I
see.
Yeah,
he says it's a cartel. You think it's a choreograph?
I think this.
Choreographed.
Yeah. I mean, well planned, well executed, and unfortunately, they think that a day of reckoning will not come. And here we are. You see, you asked a question that why would they do this?
Right.
Why were they emboldened to do what they did?
Right.
For me, it was simple. You see, once you have a whole establishment, right, engulfed in series of corruption, at a point in time, it became a daily affair. At a point in time, when you have the certain president who was nicknamed corruption clearing agents, at a point in time, you realize that even journalists who were on the side of the country fighting against corruption, you yourself, you became a target. At a point in time, government level was not spared. I mean, look at individuals, right, who were on the side of Ghanaians, who were doing everything possible to ensure that corruption does not become pervasive. All these individuals will become targets. So it became more or less that corruption became more or less like institutionalized within the administration. Everybody felt that, listen, let me also go for my pound of flesh. Because once the leadership is doing it, why not? We can all do it.
Right.
Because it's only a regime that was set down for an amount of $58 million to be invested to dig a hole. That is what will embolden a group of people to do what they have done. See, you know, in 2022, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, right, visited the National Service Secretariat, and he made a statement to the effect that his flagship program, the Digitalization,
right,
has basically been able, right, to save the country an amount of $112 million because the mechanism that he put in place within the National Service Secretariat was able to deal with the ghost name. Here we are. That's what the Vice President said in 2022 relative to how his digitalization agenda has been able to save the nation $122 million. It's turning out to be that it's one of his empty rhetoric.
But the Vice President couldn't have done what exactly. I mean, he went to the NSA. They told him that this is what we have done to fight corruption. And they just, if this is what you have done to fight corruption, I think it's a good thing, you know, for us to trumpet. So he went to trumpet what his trusted acolytes had told him that, look, we have done this to do this. Why are you blaming him?
You know why I'm unable to sympathize with the Vice President?
Tell me.
Because you remember in 2024, the Media Foundation for West Africa and the Fourth Estate, right, were even sued not to premiere this documentary.
Yes, twice.
Exactly.
It was an injunction.
So even the Vice President, who have made a statement to the effect that this particular agenda that I'm championing has saved the country this amount of money. And now, a Fourth Estate has come out to say, Vice President, probably you were misled.
Right.
There's a documentary to the effect that Ghana have lost this huge amount of money because of ghost name. I think if the Vice President was indeed committed in dealing with this menace, the Vice President would have given them the opportunity to show that documentary. And it would have exposed the individuals who were the brain behind it. To the extent that, see, you have an instance, one guy called Fuseni Abubakar, right, used the same index number, same name, 2,338 times, drawing allowances every month. How can people be unconscionable? How can individuals, right, serving this country, drawing salary every month, right, conspire to dupe the country in such a manner? And you have an instances, people who are like 90 years, like you make reference to, 80 years and what have you not, were captured on the National Service data. To the extent that, you know, when we go to school, my index number back in university was 106888971. That is why when you speak to the registrar at UDS and some of the universities, they say, listen, even when you look at index numbers, you will not see alphabet in it. But this individual will sit down in the comfort of their room, generate fictitious index number. And at the end of the day, so that's why I said it's a choreographed, what they call thievery, because at the end of the day, the man at the top, the authorizing officer, the accountant, what have you not, they were all part of the conspiracy. That is why when you look at it from 2017 till date, till the NDC MPP exit power, all the individuals who have had the opportunity, right, to head the National Service Secretariat are culpable in all this.
So far, the Director General has not been mentioned. So far.
I mean, fine. I have read an instances where the Fourth Estate, right, have been able to highlight the individuals who are complicit in all this. And none of them were exempted from it. So you have an instances where I ask myself a simple question. Why would any individual capture a 91-year-old person as a National Service personnel? And you know, when it comes to this whole thing, when it comes to the processes, even when you have to be paid your allowance, you have to go to where you are doing your national service for clearance, for validation. And you take it to the National Service Secretary before you can be paid your allowance. So when you have an instances, I mean, see, I know people who are even involved in this, having spoken to individuals on the condition of what we call confidentiality. I mean, admitting to some of the crime. Some of them are even blaming another person that, listen, I'm not the one they should be targeting. They should be targeting my head and what have you not. And this is a country. We recently watched a video in the eastern region where a young guy have to carry the sister to cross a stream.
Right.
Because there's no footbridge. We live in a country where people are sharing water with animals. We live in a country where the very people who told us that they are going to protect the public purse, and this is what they have bequeathed the good people of this country. And so this whole national service thing, I think it's a scandal of monumental proportion. It's a brazen thievery. I mean, being executed by a group of people who think, I don't know whether at the point is that they think that the NPP will never exit power.
How could they have?
No, probably because the only reason why you will face such crime upon a country called Ghana.
We don't know if it's a crime yet. We're not investigating. We are not too sure. This is a side of Fourth Estate. We don't know what the investigative bodies know. So we'll hasten slowly to call it a crime.
I mean, so fine. You look at it from this. I mean, for instance, you have an instances where you are talking about 81,000 names. Ghost names, 81,000. You're talking about instances where individuals, people who were working at the National Service Secretariat. I mean, this amount of money, we are talking about, Ora puts it around 500 million Ghana cedis. When even you do the computation, we are hovering around 1.something billion. How much money are we rushing to the IMF to go and collect? I mean, when we go to countries for, to beg for funding aid and what have you, how much are we going for? And you have a group of people who have decided that because the regime was so flexible, the regime has created a fertile ground for people to engage in an act of corruption. And that is what they did.
Well, Henry Nanabuachi, who is national organizer of the NPP, he says he will sue the Fourth Estate for taking this step because you remember that there was a joint press release by the Mr. Osei Bentwi, Medipa's Director General of the National Service Authority, and Mustafa Yusuf, who was his predecessor. And they say, look, the things you are saying, or the Fourth Estate is saying, cannot be accurate. And so Nanabuachi says, based on that, they will sue the Fourth Estate. How does that sound to you?
For me, I mean, obviously, I don't expect Nanabi to come and admit to this. What do you call it?
Let me put a little more flesh in it. The press release mainly assesses to four things. One, that the Fourth Estate's projected figures on the numbers of ghost names in the NSS database do not account for the cohorts of nursing and teacher trainee postings. Two, the presence of covered overage persons, duplicated names, photos of foreigners, fake index numbers created in the name of tertiary institutions, and fake IDs and manipulated biometric data are all mere data entry errors, which are eventually weeded out during the regional verifications. 3. The Fourth Estate faltered in its journalistic ethics by failing to verify its data from the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems, GIPS. D. Throughout their tenure, they committed to robust enrollment and verification mechanisms to reduce unscrupulous enrollments. And the Fourth Estate, in response to that, has provided all of those, things. They have provided a letter that they wrote to the RTI Commission. They provided one that they wrote to GIPS. They have put up another one that they saw on the internet. So it's a back and forth thing. What do you say?
I mean, it's a much ado about nothing. I mean, it basically trying everything possible to save their face. I mean, for instance, you're talking about referencing nursing and what have you not. I mean, specifically, like I made reference to Abubakar Husseini, born 1963, right? Was captured in the data of what we call national service, and the name appeared 2,338 times, and you have assigned to that individual an index.
Data entry error.
I mean, that is not possible. That is not possible. 2,388. Is that what you want to tell us? Is that what? And you see, what is even more puzzling is the fact that if indeed you know the truth is on your side, why did you guard them from premiering that particular document last year?
They said they wanted to be heard first.
Wow. You claim. So why did they not make all this, what do you call it, assessing that they are making now? Why did they not address a press conference? Why did they not set the record straight at that time? This is so reactionary, which is expected. Because if indeed you know that you have done nothing wrong,
Right.
and indeed Fourth Estate continue to keep certain snipes of what is captured in their, what you call, document. They keep on talking about the fact that this is what has gone on. Why did you not set the record straight? Why wouldn't you even allow them to premiere the said document so that you'll be able to respond to it accordingly? Why were you trying to gag them? The only reason why you were trying to gag them, because you know the evidence that they have is overwhelming, and for that matter, it will indict you. That is the only reason why you like to gag them. Because if I have nothing to hide, because they say truth is defense.
That's right.
If I have absolutely nothing to hide, why would I want to gag them to the extent that I even went to court? So this whole thing that we are witness, and for me, I mean, I doubt there's any conscionable Ghanaians listening to me this morning who is surprised about the scandal that I imagine. Nobody is surprised, including even non-MPP members. Why do you think when you go to social media, some of their own MPP folks are talking about the fact that you eat alone, you suffer alone?
They are saying that?
You say if you eat alone, you suffer alone.
But who ate alone?
But they say they are appointees.
They ate alone.
Exactly.
They ate what alone?
I mean, they're looting and what have you not. Why?
But
were we not in this country? When Kenny Japan admitted during his campaign that they are looting the country as if there's no tomorrow. That is what Kenny Japan said about his own political party. So the issue about NPP looting the country, the issue about thievery, the issue about corruption, the issue about having a cabal milking this country was not something that is in doubt. It was just a matter of time. And their cover will be blown. And that's currently what we are witnessing. And I'm saying that there are people who are involved in this scandal. They are reaching out to individuals, telling them that, listen, instead of you coming after me, why don't you go for the ultimate, what they call boss? And that is what is happening. So Nana B and his usual, what they call, drama and trying to create an impression that he's not culpable and what have you. As for the NDC led by President Mahama, we'll go through the due process. They'll be invited. They have to respond to the allegation that is being leveled against them. They are entitled to have their own lawyers and what have you. But the fact of the matter is this. We will not allow individuals who have had the opportunity to serve this country, right, to take this country as if they were running their own property.
If your warrior is not in the jurisdiction, or I don't know, or if she is in the jurisdiction, she perhaps is hiding. That's what the investigators are telling us. If you were in her shoes, what would you have done?
I read somewhere that she's currently with the Black Queens because she's an what do you call it?
Yes, she's GFA executive member. Exactly. And she has a team or so.
I think for me, if she has absolutely nothing to hide, even if I was her, we're looking at the how this whole issue has gained a national traction. I will probably just seek an excuse from wherever I am and quickly rush to the country and come and answer to certain questions. Because you see, if indeed she has absolutely nothing to hide, because the more it lingers on, the more public opinion and perception about you right fester. So if indeed she has absolutely nothing to hide, I think that by now she should be in the country. Voluntary, what do you call it, hand herself to the NIB for her to be interrogated and be asked certain relevant questions related to the scandal.
Dalali, we're wrapping up. Closing thoughts. What do you share with us before you leave?
For me, what I want to say is President Mahama have started on a good note. He promised the good people of this country a lean government, which he has so far delivered. He promised the good people of this country he's going to deliver young, what do you call it, government so far. So far, we've seen young guys finding themselves in some of the strategic, appointments in this administration. But one of the things that I love about so far President Mahama's engagement with his appointees is the admonishment that, listen, Ghanaians give us this mandate, not to come and lord over them, but to serve them. I always say one thing. See, aside the corruption, the economic hardship that compelled Ghanaians to kick the NPP out of power, one thing that became very, very instructive is the fact that the level of arrogance, right, the level of disrespect towards the Ghanaian people, right? At a point, I was at the rooftop. So if you have had the opportunity to serve under President Mahama's administration, the little thing you can do is to accord the Ghanaian respect. It's very, very important because you see, the mandate given to us by Ghanaians, even though we're excited about it, but it's also scary. Because this is the first time under the fourth Republican dispensation, Ghanaians overwhelmingly has given such a mandate to a government, and we cannot take it for granted. So I want to appeal to the rank and file of the party. I know people are so agitated with respect to the fact that they are so much expectant for certain individuals to be appointed here and there. But I want them to be patient. President Mama know what he's doing, and I have no doubt that President Mama will surely do. And I want to take this opportunity to wish lawyer Digitalization, today is his birthday.
Today is a Digitalization.
I say God richly bless him for all what he does for the party and those of us that look up to him. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Alali. We're grateful. He's a member of the NDC's National Communications